The evening air was thick with humidity as Maya Chun finished packing her suitcase for the upcoming business conference in Chicago. At 42, she had built an impressive career as a senior architect at a prestigious firm in Seattle. Her home in the quiet suburb of Bellevue reflected her personality: orderly, elegant, and meticulously maintained. Her son Leo, a thoughtful 7-year-old with an unusually perceptive nature, sat cross-legged on the floor assembling a complex Lego structure. "Remember, you'll be staying with Dad while I'm away?" Maya called from her walk-in closet. "Yeah, just for 2 nights," Leo replied without looking up from his creation. Later that evening, as Maya tucked Leo into bed, he clung to her unusually tight. After several minutes of silence, he whispered words that would shatter her world. "Mommy, Daddy has a special friend, and when you leave for your trip, they're going to take all our money." Maya froze, her hand hovering above Leo's forehead. "What did you say, sweetie?" "Daddy was on the phone with her last night when he thought I was asleep," Leo continued, his voice trembling. "He told her that when you're gone, they're going to the bank to do something with the money. They said they'd finally be able to breathe easy." Maya hugged her son tightly, her mind racing. The man she had married 10 years ago, the father of her child, was plotting against her. And her son had been the unwitting witness to this betrayal. As Leo drifted off to sleep, Maya lay awake, the weight of her son's words pressing down on her. At 3 a.m., unable to bear the uncertainty any longer, she slipped out of bed and went downstairs to her home office. The glow of her laptop illuminated her determined face as she began searching through old emails for documents Marcus had asked her to sign after her recent appendectomy. The search function on Maya's email account felt agonizingly slow as her fingers trembled on the keyboard. Finally, she located the file Marcus had sent her 3 weeks prior. "Just some routine insurance updates," he had said while she was still recovering from surgery. Barely able to focus through the medication haze when she opened the attachment, her blood ran cold. The document was titled, "General Power of Attorney with Broad Authority." 5 pages of dense legal language followed, but one phrase stood out: "Authorization for administration of assets and property in the event of medical contingency." Maya remembered that afternoon vividly now. Marcus had been unusually attentive, bringing her tea and pillows, presenting the documents with that charming smile she had once found so endearing. "It's just a formality, honey," he had said. "I want to be able to help you if anything happens." Now those words twisted like a knife in her gut. She opened another document, then another. Each one granted Marcus more control over her finances, her property, even her medical decisions. The most chilling realization came when she understood that with these documents, Marcus could potentially have her declared incompetent and take complete control of her life. At 4:30 a.m., Maya stood before her packed suitcase, the idea of leaving for Chicago now feeling like walking into a trap. Instead of sleeping, she opened her work notebook and began writing questions that would shape her next moves. How long has this been going on? Who is this woman? How much money are they planning to take? How can I protect Leo? When dawn broke, Marcus came downstairs, whistling as he started the coffee maker. "All packed for your trip?" he asked, kissing her forehead as if nothing was wrong. Maya watched his every move, seeing a stranger where she once saw her husband. "Flight's at 7:10 a.m., she replied, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "I need to leave by 5:30. "Perfect," Marcus said with a smile that now seemed sinister. "And you're coming back Thursday or Friday?" "Friday evening," Maya responded, knowing she was playing along with his timeline. As Marcus nodded, Maya noticed the slight twitch at the corner of his mouth, a tell she had never recognized before. That smile was her confirmation. The betrayal was real and the clock was ticking. While Leo ate his cereal at the kitchen island, Maya watched him with a mixture of fierce protectiveness and self-recrimination. How had she missed the signs? Marcus's increased late nights at work, his sudden habit of taking calls in the garden, the password change on his phone, all red flags she had dismissed as work stress. "I'll be back before you know it," Maya said, ruffling Leo's hair, forcing a smile while her mind calculated her next move. After Marcus left for his gym appointment, Maya made a call that would change everything. Rebecca Walsh, her former college roommate now practicing family law, answered on the second ring. "I need your help," Maya said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's an emergency." 2 hours later, Maya sat in Rebecca's downtown office, the signed documents spread across the polished mahogany desk. Rebecca read them in silence, her expression growing more serious with each page. "Maya, this is extremely concerning," Rebecca finally said, looking up over her glasses. "With these documents, Marcus has complete control over your assets. He can access your accounts, sell property, even make medical decisions on your behalf." "He can do all this without me here?" Maya asked, though she already dreaded the answer. "Yes. And if he's planning something, your conference is the perfect opportunity. He can act while you're out of state." "I need to stop this," Maya said, her hands clenched in her lap. "We can revoke the power of attorney," Rebecca explained. "But we need to be strategic. If Marcus suspects he might act prematurely. We also need to notify your banks and restrict unauthorized transactions." "Is there anything else I should do?" Maya asked, her mind racing. Rebecca leaned forward, her voice low. "We need evidence of his intentions. A recording, messages, anything that proves premeditation. Do you have anything like that?" Maya shook her head. "Only what Leo overheard." Rebecca paused, considering. Would Leo be willing to testify if this goes to court? Maya's protective instincts kicked in immediately. "He's only 7. I don't want to put him through that." "Then we need to be very careful," Rebecca said. "We'll prepare the revocation documents and secure your accounts before he can act. But you'll need to pretend everything is normal until we're ready." As Maya left Rebecca's office, she felt both terrified and empowered. She had a plan now, a way to fight back. What she didn't yet realize was how deep the conspiracy went, or that Marcus and his accomplice had plans far more sinister than just stealing her money. That evening, Maya returned home to find Marcus waiting in the living room, a glass of wine in hand. The soft lighting and jazz music created an atmosphere of domestic tranquility that now felt like a stage set for betrayal. "You seem tense," Marcus said, approaching her with the wine. "Is it about the conference?" "Just work stress," Maya replied, forcing a smile as she accepted the glass. "Didn't sleep well." Marcus wrapped his arms around her, his touch now feeling foreign and threatening. "Don't worry, everything will be fine. Trust me." The irony of his words struck Maya like a physical blow. She sipped the wine, her mind working furiously to maintain the facade of normalcy while planning her defense. Later that night, while Marcus was in the shower, Maya searched his home office. Behind a row of law books, she discovered a locked drawer. Using a bobby pin, she jimmied it open, revealing a stack of documents that made her heart pound. The first was a property transfer agreement for their lakeside cabin to a company called Montgomery Holdings. The second was a printout of Leo's school records with notes about custody arrangements. But it was the third document that made her blood run cold. A brochure for Willow Creek Behavioral Health Center, with a handwritten note. "Appointment for Maya, Wednesday 10 a.m. Dr. K. Thompson." Maya sank into the leather chair, the full scope of Marcus's plan becoming terrifyingly clear. He wasn't just going to steal her assets. He was planning to have her declared mentally incompetent and institutionalized. By the time she returned from Chicago, she might have no home, no money, and possibly no access to her son. The next morning, Maya called Rebecca with the new information. "This is worse than we thought," she said, her voice trembling. "He's planning to have me committed." There was silence on the other end of the line. "This changes everything," Rebecca finally said. "We need to accelerate our timeline. Can you meet with Harrison Sterling? He's a colleague who specializes in forensic financial fraud." That afternoon, Maya sat in Harrison's corner office overlooking Puget Sound. After reviewing the documents, the silver-haired attorney looked at her with grave concern. "Maya, what you've uncovered is a carefully orchestrated scheme. The company name, Montgomery Holdings, suggests Marcus has a partner. Do you have any idea who this might be?" Maya shook her head. "Leo mentioned a special friend, but I don't know who she is." "We need to find out," Harrison said, sliding a business card across his desk. "This is going to require a multi-pronged approach. First, we'll legally revoke the power of attorney. Second, we'll freeze your accounts and transfer assets to new, protected holdings. Third," he paused, "we need to catch him in the act." As Maya left Harrison's office, her phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Looking forward to our dinner tomorrow night. Making reservations at that place you love. Maya smiled grimly. The game was on, and she was no longer just a potential victim. She was preparing to become the hunter. The next morning, while Leo was at school, Maya sat at her kitchen table with her laptop, determined to uncover the identity of Marcus's accomplice. The company name Montgomery Holdings was her only lead. She typed it into the search engine, her fingers flying across the keyboard. Several results appeared, including a corporate registration listing Simone Montgomery as the CEO. Maya clicked on the company's website, where a professional headshot showed a striking woman with sharp features and cold eyes. The bio described her as a financial consultant specializing in asset management and wealth protection strategies. Something about the woman's face seemed familiar, though Maya couldn't place it. She searched for Simone on social media, finding a private Instagram account with only a profile picture. Simone standing with her back to the camera, facing a floor-to-ceiling window with a view of the Seattle skyline. Maya continued digging, eventually finding Simone's LinkedIn profile. Before starting her own firm, Simone had worked at several major financial institutions, including one where Marcus had previously been employed. The timeline suggested their professional paths had crossed multiple times. A sudden realization struck Maya. She opened her photo archives, scrolling through years of digital memories until she found a folder labeled Company Events. There, in a photo from a holiday party 5 years ago, was Marcus with his arm around Simone, both smiling warmly at the camera. In another picture from the same event, they were dancing closely, their body language suggesting more than a professional relationship. Maya's stomach twisted as she pieced together the timeline. Simone wasn't just a recent affair. She had been in Marcus's life for years, possibly even before their marriage. The betrayal was deeper and more calculated than she had imagined. That evening, Maya joined Marcus for dinner at the upscale restaurant he had chosen. Throughout the meal, she maintained the facade of the unsuspecting wife, while observing his every word and gesture. "I've been thinking," Marcus said over dessert, "maybe after your conference we should take a trip together, just the two of us. Reconnect." "That sounds nice," Maya replied, her mind racing. "Where were you thinking?" "Somewhere warm. Mexico, maybe? We could leave Leo with my parents for a week." Maya noted how casually he suggested leaving Leo with his parents, part of his plan, no doubt, to establish a new normal without her. "I'll think about it," she said, forcing a smile. "Let's see how this conference goes first." When they returned home, Marcus excused himself to take a work call in his study. Maya seized the opportunity to install a small voice-activated recording app on his tablet, something Harrison's technical expert had shown her how to do earlier that day. As she went to bed that night, Maya felt a mix of fear and determination. She was gathering the pieces of the puzzle, but she knew the most critical evidence was yet to come. The next phase of her plan would require nerves of steel and perfect timing. The following day, while Leo was at school, Maya met with Harrison to finalize their strategy. The attorney had prepared the revocation documents and made arrangements with Maya's banks to protect her accounts. "We need to move quickly," Harrison explained, spreading documents across his conference table. "If Marcus tries to access your accounts while you're supposedly in Chicago, we'll have him trapped." Maya nodded, reviewing the paperwork. "What about the cabin? The transfer agreement I found?" "My team is investigating Montgomery Holdings. It appears to be a shell company, likely set up specifically for this purpose. We're preparing an injunction to block any property transfer." "What about the psychiatric facility?" Maya asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Harrison's expression grew serious. "That's the most concerning element. If Marcus had you declared incompetent, he could gain permanent control of your assets and custody of Leo. We need to prevent that at all costs." As they discussed the legal strategy, Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Leo's school. "Please call us regarding Leo. He seems upset." Maya's heart leaped into her throat. She excused herself and stepped into the hallway to call the school. "Mrs. Chun," said the school counselor, "Leo was crying during art class. When I asked what was wrong, he said something that worried me. He said his father told him that after your trip, he'd be living with Daddy and Simone, and that you were going to be very busy working far away." Maya's blood ran cold. "Did he say anything else?" The counselor hesitated. He mentioned something about Simone having a puppy and a special bed just for him. He seemed very confused and scared. "I'll be right there," Maya said, ending the call. When Maya arrived at the school, she found Leo sitting in the counselor's office, clutching a drawing of their family. As soon as he saw her, he ran into her arms. "I don't want to live with Daddy and Simone," he whispered against her shoulder. "I want to stay with you." Maya hugged him tightly, fighting back tears. "You will always stay with me, sweetie. I promise." On the drive home, Leo revealed more details. "Daddy said you'd be working so much that you wouldn't have time for me. He said Simone could take better care of me because she doesn't have a busy job like you." Maya listened, her grip tightening on the steering wheel. Marcus wasn't just trying to steal her assets. He was systematically turning their son against her, preparing Leo for a life without his mother. That evening, Maya called Harrison with the new information. "This is emotional abuse," the attorney said when she finished. "It strengthens our case significantly, but it also means we need to act fast. Marcus is clearly accelerating his timeline." As Maya ended the call, she heard Marcus enter the house. She took a deep breath, preparing to continue her performance as the unsuspecting wife. But inside, she was steeling herself for the confrontation she knew was coming. The next 2 days passed in a blur of preparation. Maya signed the revocation documents with Harrison, transferred her accounts to new protected holdings, and worked with Rebecca to establish a legal paper trail documenting Marcus's attempts to manipulate Leo. All the while, she maintained the appearance of a busy professional preparing for an important conference. On Tuesday morning, the day of her supposed flight, Maya rose before dawn. She packed her suitcase as planned, but instead of heading to the airport, she drove to a discreet location Harrison had arranged, a downtown apartment equipped with surveillance equipment where she could monitor Marcus's activities. At 8:15 a.m., Maya watched from a laptop as Marcus entered their home branch of First Washington Bank. Dressed in a tailored suit and carrying a leather portfolio, he approached the executive services desk with an air of confidence. Maya's heart pounded as she watched the surveillance feed. Harrison sat beside her, making notes on a legal pad. "Good," he said as Marcus presented documents to the bank manager. "Let's see how far he takes this." On the screen, Marcus spoke to the bank manager, though the audio was initially unclear. Harrison adjusted the settings, and Marcus's voice became audible. "As Maya Chen's legal representative with power of attorney, I need to initiate a transfer of funds from account number 754902, Marcus said smoothly. The bank manager, a woman in her 40s, typed on her computer, her expression neutral. "One moment, Mr. Chan." Maya flinched at hearing Marcus use her surname. The manager's face changed as she reviewed the information. She excused herself and returned moments later with a senior colleague. "I'm afraid there's an issue with these documents," the senior manager said, his voice firm. "The power of attorney was revoked yesterday." Marcus's confident demeanor faltered. "That's impossible. There must be some mistake." The manager shook his head. "The revocation was processed at 4:27 p.m. yesterday. Additionally, your access as cosigner has been restricted. You no longer have authority over these accounts." Marcus's face flushed with anger. "This is ridiculous. My wife is out of state. She wouldn't do this." The manager remained calm. "The documents are valid, Mr. Chun. I'm afraid you'll need to leave the premises." Marcus slammed his hand on the counter. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." Security guards approached as Marcus's voice rose. "Do you know who I am? I'm her husband." The senior manager pressed a button under his desk. "Sir, I must ask you to leave immediately." As Marcus was escorted from the bank, Maya felt a mixture of relief and nausea. Harrison paused the recording. "This is exactly what we needed," he said. "Attempted fraud, clear intent, and evidence that he believed you would be out of state." Maya watched as Marcus stormed out of the bank, pulling out his phone as he walked. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now," Harrison said with a grim smile, "we wait for him to make his next move. And based on his reaction, I suspect that won't take long." As Harrison predicted, Marcus's next move came quickly. Within minutes of leaving the bank, he began calling Maya's phone. She let it go to voicemail each time, as Harrison had advised. Every unanswered call and desperate message would serve as further evidence of his knowledge and intentions. At 9:30 a.m., Maya watched on the surveillance feed as Marcus returned home, letting himself in with his key. He immediately began searching the house, opening drawers and closets, clearly looking for something. "He's trying to find the revocation documents," Harrison observed. "He wants to see how you discovered his plan." Maya's phone buzzed again. Another text from Marcus. "We need to talk. Now." "Don't respond," Harrison advised. "Let him stew in his uncertainty. The more desperate he becomes, the more likely he is to make mistakes." At 10:45 a.m., a black sedan pulled up outside Maya's house. Simone Montgomery emerged, dressed in a sharp business suit. She entered without knocking, and Maya could see through the living room camera that the two immediately began arguing. Maya couldn't hear their conversation, but their body language told a story. Simone gestured angrily, while Marcus paced back and forth, running his hands through his hair. After several minutes of intense discussion, Simone left, slamming the door behind her. "Interesting," Harrison said, making notes. "They're turning on each other. That's a good sign for our case." Maya felt a grim satisfaction. The partnership built on betrayal was already showing cracks. At 2 p.m., Marcus made another call. This time, Harrison's team was able to trace it to Willow Creek Behavioral Health Center. "He's trying to move forward with Plan B," Harrison said. "The psychiatric commitment." Maya felt a chill despite the warm room. "Can he do that?" "Not without your presence or a medical emergency," Harrison reassured her. "But this shows how desperate he's becoming." That evening, Maya received a call from Leo's school. Marcus had arrived to pick up Leo, claiming there was a family emergency. When the school administrator asked for verification, Marcus had become agitated and insisted. "I'm on my way," Maya told the school, ending the call. "This is unexpected," Harrison said. "He's trying to establish control over Leo." As Maya drove to the school, her phone rang. It was Marcus. "Where are you?" he demanded. "I'm at Leo's school. They won't release him to me." "I'm on my way there now," Maya said calmly. "There's no family emergency, Marcus." "Of course there is," he snapped. "You've frozen our accounts and revoked everything without telling me. That's an emergency." Maya ended the call without responding. She knew this confrontation was inevitable, but she hadn't expected it to happen so soon or in such a public setting. When she arrived at the school, she found Marcus arguing with the principal in the front office. Leo was sitting nearby, looking frightened and confused. As soon as he saw Maya, Leo ran to her. "Mommy, Daddy said there was an emergency and I had to go with him." Maya hugged her son, then turned to face Marcus. "There's no emergency, Marcus. And you're not taking Leo anywhere." The principal stepped between them. "Mrs. Chun, we contacted Mr. Chen's office to verify the emergency claim. They said he wasn't scheduled to work today." Marcus's face turned red with anger and humiliation. "This is ridiculous. I'm his father." Maya looked him in the eye, her voice steady. "Not anymore, Marcus. Not after what you've tried to do." The confrontation at Leo's school marked a turning point. Marcus, realizing his plans were unraveling, became increasingly desperate. Over the next 48 hours, he sent a barrage of emails and text messages, alternating between threats and appeals to their shared history. "I can't believe you do this to our family," one message read. "After everything we've been through." Another was more menacing. "You think you've won? This isn't over." Harrison advised Maya to save every communication. "These are gold," he explained. "They demonstrate his state of mind and continued attempts to manipulate you." Meanwhile, Maya's legal team moved quickly. Harrison filed for an emergency restraining order based on the bank incident and Marcus's attempt to remove Leo from school. Rebecca prepared documentation for the family court, detailing Marcus's emotional manipulation of Leo. On Thursday morning, Maya received a call that made her heart stop. It was Detective Miller from the Seattle Police Department. "Mrs. Chun, we need you to come down to the station," the detective said. "There's been a break-in at your home." Maya met Harrison at the police station, where Detective Miller explained what had happened. The night before, someone had broken into their house and ransacked Marcus's home office. Nothing appears to have been stolen, the detective said, showing photos of the scene. But based on the mess, they were looking for something specific. Maya felt a chill. The documents, she said. He was looking for the power of attorney revocation and any other evidence I might have. Harrison nodded. Or Simone was. Either way, it shows how desperate they've become. The detective leaned forward. We have a suspect in custody. A man named Damian Montgomery was spotted near your home by a neighbor. When we questioned him, he claimed he was just taking a walk, but his story didn't hold up. Montgomery? Maya asked, looking at Harrison. Simone's brother, Harrison confirmed. This connects her directly to the break-in. As they left the police station, Maya's phone rang. It was Rebecca with urgent news. Simone just filed an emergency motion in family court, Rebecca said. She's claiming that Marcus has been abusing her, and that she fears for her safety. She's also requesting that Leo be placed in her temporary custody, citing concerns about your emotional stability. Maya felt the world tilt. She can't do that. She's not his parent. She's trying to establish herself as a concerned party with standing in custody matters, Rebecca explained. It's a strategic move to position herself as a potential guardian if Marcus is removed from the picture. When is the hearing? Maya asked, her voice trembling slightly. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., Rebecca replied. We need to be prepared. That night, Maya sat with Leo in their temporary apartment, trying to explain what was happening in age-appropriate terms. Daddy made some bad choices, she said gently. And now Simone is trying to cause problems for our family. Leo looked up at her, his eyes wide with understanding beyond his years. Is Daddy going to jail? Maya hugged him tightly. I don't know, sweetie. But whatever happens, we'll face it together. You and me. As she tucked Leo into bed, Maya's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You can't hide forever. We know where you are. Maya deleted the message and turned off her phone. The battle lines had been drawn, and tomorrow's court hearing would be the next front in the war for her son's future. The courtroom was cold and imposing on Friday morning as Maya sat beside Rebecca at the plaintiff's table. Across the room, Simone sat with her attorney, looking composed in a navy pantsuit. Marcus was notably absent. At 9:05 a.m., Judge Peterson entered and took her seat. The judge, a woman in her late 50s with silver hair and a no-nonsense demeanor, reviewed the files before her. Good morning, she said, her voice carrying authority. We're here to consider an emergency motion regarding temporary custody of Leo Chan. Ms. Walsh, you may begin. Rebecca stood, approaching the bench with confidence. Your Honor, we're here to oppose this motion on several grounds. First, Simone Montgomery has no legal standing to request custody of Leo Chan, as she is neither a parent nor a legal guardian. Second, this motion appears to be a retaliatory tactic in response to my client's discovery of a conspiracy between Ms. Montgomery and Marcus Chan to defraud Mrs. Chan of her assets and potentially have her institutionalized. The judge looked up, her interest piqued. Do you have evidence of these allegations? Rebecca nodded. We do, Your Honor. We have bank surveillance footage showing Marcus Chan attempting to access Mrs. Chen's accounts using a revoked power of attorney. We have testimony regarding a break-in at the family home, for which Simone Montgomery's brother has been arrested. Most importantly, we have evidence that Marcus Chan has been emotionally manipulating their son, Leo, in preparation for this custody battle. Simone's attorney stood. Your Honor, these are outrageous allegations without merit. My client is simply concerned for the child's welfare. Marcus Chan has a history of emotional abuse, and Mrs. Chan has been exhibiting erratic behavior recently. Erratic how? The judge asked. She canceled an important business conference at the last minute, moved out of her family home without explanation, and has been keeping Leo from his father. Simone's attorney claimed. Rebecca countered. My client's actions were reasonable responses to discovering her husband's betrayal. She didn't cancel her conference. She discovered Marcus's plot to have her committed while she was away. She didn't keep Leo from his father. She prevented Marcus from removing Leo from school under false pretenses. The judge listened intently, then turned to Simone. Ms. Montgomery, what is your relationship to Marcus Chan? Simone stood, her expression carefully composed. We're business associates, Your Honor. I became concerned when Marcus told me about his wife's increasingly unstable behavior. Did you know about the power of attorney Marcus had over his wife's assets? The judge asked. Simone hesitated. I may have had some general knowledge of their financial arrangements. Did you help Marcus prepare these documents? Rebecca interjected. Objection, Simone's attorney called out. Sustained, the judge ruled, but her eyes remained fixed on Simone. Ms. Montgomery, are you currently in a romantic relationship with Marcus Chan? Simone's composure faltered slightly. That's not relevant to this motion. I'll decide what's relevant, the judge said firmly. Answer the question. After a pause, Simone admitted. Yes, Your Honor. We have been involved for approximately 3 years. The judge nodded slowly, processing this information. I'm denying the emergency motion for temporary custody. Ms. Montgomery has no legal standing, and this appears to be an attempt to manipulate the court. However, she continued, I am concerned enough about the allegations to schedule a full custody hearing in 2 weeks. Until then, Leo will remain with his mother, and Marcus Chun will have supervised visitation only. As they left the courtroom, Rebecca squeezed Maya's arm. That went as well as we could have hoped. The judge saw through Simone's tactics. Maya nodded, but her mind was already racing. 2 weeks until the custody hearing. 2 weeks for Marcus and Simone to regroup and plan their next move. She knew this battle was far from over. The 2 weeks leading up to the custody hearing were a whirlwind of legal preparations and emotional turbulence. Maya moved temporarily into a rental home in a different school district to ensure Leo's routine wouldn't be disrupted. Harrison's team worked diligently to build their case against Marcus and Simone, gathering evidence of financial fraud, conspiracy, and emotional abuse. Meanwhile, Marcus's supervised visitations with Leo were tense and awkward. During the first session, held at a neutral family counseling center, Marcus tried to question Leo about Maya's activities. Is Mommy working a lot? He asked, attempting to sound casual. Leo, who had been coached by Rebecca on how to respond, simply shrugged. She's always busy with work. Did she say why you had to move? Marcus pressed. Leo looked at the court-appointed supervisor. I'm not supposed to talk about that. Marcus's frustration was evident, but he couldn't push further without violating the visitation guidelines. During the second visitation, Marcus tried a different approach, bringing Leo an expensive toy robot. Daddy can't buy you things anymore if Mommy has all the money, Marcus said when Leo seemed hesitant to accept the gift. Leo looked at the toy, then at his father. Mommy says we don't need expensive things to be happy. The supervisor noted the exchange in her report, which would later be submitted to the judge. As the custody hearing approached, Simone's legal team filed several motions attempting to discredit Maya, including a request for a psychological evaluation. Rebecca successfully argued that there was no evidence to suggest Maya was unfit, and the judge denied the motion. 3 days before the hearing, Harrison called Maya with unexpected news. We've discovered something significant, he said. Simone Montgomery has a history of this kind of behavior. 5 years ago, she was investigated for attempting to defraud an elderly client through undue influence and financial manipulation. The case was settled out of court, but we've obtained the sealed records. This is huge, Maya said, her heart racing. It establishes a pattern of behavior. Exactly, Harrison confirmed. And there's more. We've traced communications between Simone and Marcus going back at least 4 years. They've been planning this for a long time. The day of the custody hearing arrived with a mixture of dread and determination. Maya sat beside Rebecca in the courtroom, watching as Marcus and Simone entered with their respective attorneys. Marcus avoided eye contact, but Simone stared at Maya with undisguised hostility. Judge Peterson entered and called the court to order. We're here today to determine custody arrangements for Leo Chan, she began. Given the serious allegations made by both parties, I'll hear testimony from all involved parties before making my determination. Rebecca presented Maya's case first, calling Harrison to testify about the financial conspiracy and the evidence they had gathered. Then Maya took the stand, recounting how she had discovered Marcus's plot and the subsequent events. When it was Marcus's turn to testify, he maintained that he had been trying to protect their assets and that Maya had overreacted due to work stress. "You never intended to have your wife institutionalized?" Rebecca asked during cross-examination. "Of course not," Marcus replied, though his discomfort was evident. "Then why did you make an appointment at Willow Creek Behavioral Health Center for the day after your wife was supposed to be in Chicago?" Rebecca pressed. Marcus's attorney objected, but the judge overruled it. "The witness will answer." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "That was just a precaution, in case Maya needed help." Simone's testimony was even less convincing. When confronted with the previous fraud investigation, she claimed it was a misunderstanding orchestrated by a disgruntled client. The most compelling testimony came last. Leo's. In chambers with only the judge and attorneys present, Leo spoke quietly but clearly about his father's attempts to turn him against his mother. "Daddy said Simone would be my new mommy," Leo said, his small voice steady. "He said you were going to be too busy to take care of me anymore." When the hearing concluded, Judge Peterson announced she would issue her ruling the following day. As Maya left the courthouse, she felt cautiously optimistic but prepared for any outcome. Whatever the decision, she knew she would continue fighting to protect her son. The next morning, Maya sat nervously in Rebecca's office, waiting for the judge's decision. At 10:15 a.m. the email arrived. Judge Peterson had ruled in Maya's favor, granting her sole physical custody of Leo with supervised visitation for Marcus. The judge also noted that Simone Montgomery would have no legal standing in any future custody matters. Maya felt a wave of relief so powerful it brought tears to her eyes. The legal battle was over and she had won. But the victory was bittersweet. As she and Leo began to rebuild their lives, Maya couldn't shake the feeling of loss, the betrayal by the man she had once loved, the shattering of their family unit, the innocence her son had lost too early. 3 months after the ruling, Maya sold their family home. Unable to bear the memories it held, she purchased a smaller house in a neighborhood with good schools and plenty of parks for Leo. She also made a career change, leaving her position at the architecture firm to start her own business specializing in sustainable home design. Marcus, meanwhile, faced legal consequences for his actions. The district attorney's office brought charges of financial fraud and attempted conspiracy, resulting in a 2-year probation sentence and mandatory financial restitution. Simone, implicated through the evidence Harrison had uncovered, lost her business license and faced civil lawsuits from several former clients. One afternoon, as Maya was working in her new home office, Leo approached her with a piece of paper. "My teacher said we should write about our heroes," he said, handing her his essay. Maya read the simple words. "My hero is my mom. She saved me from bad people even when she was scared. She is the strongest person I know." Tears filled Maya's eyes as she pulled her son into a hug. "You're my hero too, sweetie," she whispered. "You were so brave to tell me what was happening." Leo looked up at her, his expression serious. "Will Daddy ever be normal again?" Maya considered her answer carefully. "I hope so, honey. But even if he doesn't, we have each other, and that's what matters most." 2 years later, Maya and Leo had established a new normal. Their home was filled with laughter and creativity. Maya's architectural drawings covered one wall, while Leo's artwork adorned every other available surface. They had traditions now: Friday movie nights, Sunday morning pancakes, and annual summer camping trips. Maya's business was thriving, and she had found fulfillment in helping families create homes that reflected their values and dreams. She had also become an advocate for survivors of financial fraud, speaking at conferences and mentoring other women who had experienced similar betrayals. One spring evening, as Maya and Leo were planting a vegetable garden in their backyard, Leo asked a question that caught Maya off guard. "Do you ever think about getting married again?" Maya paused, wiping dirt from her hands. "Sometimes," she admitted, "but I'm in no hurry. Being your mom is the most important job I have." Leo nodded, then returned to digging a hole for a tomato plant. After a moment he looked up again. "I'm glad we have each other." Maya smiled, her heart full. "Me too, sweetie. More than you'll ever know." As the sun set behind the mountains, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Maya felt a profound sense of peace. The betrayal had nearly destroyed her, but it had also revealed a strength she never knew she possessed. She had faced the darkest betrayal and emerged not just intact, but more resilient than before. Their family had changed, but it hadn't broken. And in the end, that was what mattered most.